Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Mount Schmoedown, where we do a career retrospective on your favorite, or even sometimes underlooked or overlooked players in the movie trivia Schmoedown. Welcome, you guys. I hope you are having a fantastic Saturday, or at least your Saturday is just getting off to a good start with us here. I'm your host for today, Brian Payne, and to my right is my other co-host, Ben Rayner. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How are you? I'm looking forward to this one.
I'm as well. And I know some of you have watched us in the past. It's not just the two of us here. Our other co-host, Brandon, he unfortunately was just unable. He couldn't be able to attend with us today. But we really wanted him to be up with us on this episode, especially the person that we are talking about. Before we get to the person we're talking about, let's not ignore our special guest who we brought on today, everybody. Our special guest, if you follow the Schmoedown community, you would have seen his name popped up in little donation Schmobots from SEN. And if you follow any of your favorite Schmoedown competitors, you'll most likely see his name pop up in chats. But he is here with us in person, and that is 50 Shades of Geek. 50, we are glad that you are here with us.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for addressing the camel in the room.
Yes. We're so glad we did. Otherwise, if you be just asking, who is this guy? I mean, he's not Brandon, but don't worry. But like I said, he is a Schmoedown fan, obviously, with the Schmoedown community follows. And let's just get to the point. If you've clicked on this video and if you've seen our thumbnail, we are talking about the sweaty man, the sweatiest of the sweaties, King Sweaty, Big John Schnepp for today, everybody. And yeah, I'm accentuating his name because I don't want it to make it sound like I'm saying John Schnepp. No, Schnepp. Otherwise, if you were in front of him mispronouncing his name, he'd give you this weird look, and then he'd rein you in. I'm not saying I know that about him personally. It's just more of what I've seen from him at Comic-Con conventions. But let's go into it. John Schnepp, him in the Schmoedown. I mean, he started off. I got introduced to him as when he was hosting as a co-host for AMC Movie News, and then with Heroes, doing Nightmares, and then all that switched to Collider. Lot of film knowledge. That's an understatement. This man knew movies. This man loved talking about movies. He was very passionate about movies.
He was one of the greats. Like you said, he was a real. Honestly, he was a cinephile. Like he loved old movies. He loved the geeky genre. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a.
I think he'd take that as a compliment, honestly. I think John would take that as a compliment about not just geeky movies, but I mean, of course, when we think geek, we immediately go to superheroes, comic book movies, which he's a fan of, but then also other films that's out there that would be in the geeky realm, kind of like certain sci-fi films. I mean, that you would
horror genre stuff, fantasy stuff, sci-fi, space stuff. He loves all of that. The funny thing is, when he first, I got introduced to him through the Movie Talk days back on AMC, and the first time I heard he was on it, I'm like, when he was introduced, he was always being introduced by Ashley Mova as, and next up, writer director John Schnepp, and I was like, this man looks a little too serious to be on a panel with these goofy knuckleheads. And boy, was I wrong.
Yeah.
Probably, the most childish and most energetic person out of all of them, and gone way too soon, I'm afraid. Sorry to bring down the room.
No, honestly, it was something that was going to be unavoidable to mention. I mean, yeah, which John's. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Brian. Yeah, that was a topic that could not be avoided. John Schnepp, he was definitely taken from us too soon. Oh my God. Already the date is slipping through I've already forgotten the year when we left us, but I do know that the year when he passed away, I was let's just get into it. When we lost John Schnepp, unfortunately, due to health reasons, it was just so weird when the news was announced during the time of San Diego Comic-Con, which I was attending at the time as volunteering, working, dedicating my hours. I was just leaving one of my little volunteer work staff shifts, and then all of a sudden I see all of a sudden on Facebook pop up, John Schnepp, R.I.P. I'm like, wait, what? That dropped, my jaw dropped, honestly.
We
And I
all
was
did.
having people I was having people in their cosplay walk by me while I was staring at my phone, shocked from the news. Honestly,
This was 2018, right?
Yeah.
yeah. Like I said, the year hit my mind. Yeah.
It was the year. It was the year Infinity War came out because I remember. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I mean, we're gonna keep repeating this. It was unfortunate. It was a huge blow, especially with the personalities we know of the Schmoedown, like people in charge, like Christian, Mark Ellis. I mean, even those he worked with alongside, like Riley, Clark, Wolf, even those who knew him in the Schmoedown, Robert Meyer Burnett, like so many people who personally knew John Schnepp and could tell you stories about him were hurt by that loss, and especially us, which the Schmoedown, which was still like really starting to turn up there. Like we were just getting into the Magic season. We were like right within season 5, nearly about to turn a corner into the Magic season when we had lost him. And even then now, just looking at let's just get talking about John Schnepp's career in the Schmoedown. Even though it was he only had a short number of matches, but even then, that guy had his passion for movie knowledge you really felt that this man could dominate in movie trivia.
Yeah. Also, July 9th, I just
July 19th.
Yeah.
No, that's okay. I mean, yeah, if you guys feel free to talk, go right ahead. I don't want it to be as if I'm just going to be dominating this conversation.
No, it is. Like you said, he had the knowledge. I think if he was in a Schmoedown now, and if he used his study, I think he would be a force to be reckoning with. I think if he just fine-tuned it quite a little bit, I think he would be up there with some of the best. And I think he would be fun to watch as well.
I think John suffered from what a lot of current Schmoedown players suffer from, which is he has the knowledge, he just didn't understand the game well enough. We definitely see that happen a lot with like the Whitney Steibolds and the Matt Atchities of the world, especially in the last few seasons. But the thing about John Schnepp is walking into it, he was going up against Finstock. Remember, this was 2015 Finstock.
His first singles match, yeah.
Yeah, you knew John was going to whoop his ass. And that didn't happen, obviously. And when you suddenly start to see Finstock going past him in the scoreboards, I was like, wait, what is happening? This should not be happening. And there's a lot of misunderstanding the questions, I think, misunderstanding. Obviously, let's not overlook the fact that it was the old format, especially round 1, where I guess, and you can definitely tell that John was more.
It was pretty much like in the round 3 in the season 3 format. It was carried off from the Ultimate Schmoedown, where you choose 2 different categories, category 1 or 2, and then you get first person who goes first gets 3 questions and then it switches back and forth. That's how those 6 questions were. But yeah, with John's even then, John Schnepp. I mean, the fact that you said 50 every time he was introduced on Collider, it was always writer and director John Schnepp. That enough should have told you this man knows movies and he's going to pretty much dominate and whip your ass in that trivia. So we obviously thought this would have been an easy win, but at the same time, Finstock was his second match. His first match was against Kale Anonymous, though, and even then that was a bit of a match where he was kind of showing some rust there.
Wasn't Kale Anonymous' second match for Schnepp?
No. Oh yeah, his second match. I'm sorry. I'm looking at my notes here, but I'm going off of my notes which match I wrote down first. But yeah, looking at the timeline, Finstock was his first match. You're already catching me up on that shit. You're already catching me up on my BS.
Speaking of which, did anyone know what happened to that guy, Kale Anonymous? Never even seen him.
I'm pretty sure he got other jobs out there. I mean, the last I saw of him, I mean, at least on I know he has a channel or this guy. It's been a while. I just know the last time I saw him personally within the circles I follow, he was on Video Drew's YouTube channel. But I know he has gotten work. It wasn't like he just went off the face of the planet.
Well, it would have fit the name.
Yeah,
Anonymous.
Yeah, like it'd be catching on to you. But I get what you're saying, though. But let's get back to his match against Finstock. That match was kind of It was. I mean, on rewatch, it was pretty tough to go along. You see, the Schnepp, he knew the answers. The problem was that he just could. The questions that he was given threw him off a little bit, especially if we talk about his question in animated movies. Jesus, name all seven of the dwarves from Snow White. You're like
sleepy, drowsy, scowly, skimpy, scrimbles. Fuck you and Easter egg.
You got that quote for quote. I was actually going to pull up a clip on that, but that was very.
I watched it more times than I probably should have.
No, man. I mean, the more times you probably watch a Schnepp match is probably the same amount of times I dedicate watching Clark Wolf or Rachel Cushing's match, or even this season watching over and over again a fucking Roka match now because you want to see their slips, or you just want to enjoy them in the moments. But yeah, the questions like that earlier on, looking at when it was just mainly just trivia knowledge, that stuff could really throw you off. I mean, I will admit. Go ahead.
It was a very first example of a really good 5-point question, which didn't really happen a lot back then. Nowadays, it's this. We know the 5-point question is going to be the toughest question you're ever going to get, but back then wasn't quite perceived that way. So, name all 7 dwarves for the 5-point question. That makes sense.
Yeah, well, especially then the format was still new to them at the time. Like they were finally going professional with it. It was just them in their own little slice within the studio during Schmo's Nose. And then it goes to Collider, where Collider's backing them. And it's like, yeah, they got this big studio and this big production. So I don't doubt that they came in with just the knowledge alone. I know you want to say something, Ben. Go right ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, the way I think of season 3 is like, I don't want to say it's a rebuilding season. It's more of a transition season from what we had in 1 and 2 to what we have now.
Yeah.
It was like a cocoon.
Yeah, a cocoon. It was a cocoon. A cocoon, right.
Cocoon.
Okay. Well, it was more of at the time that was like you would compare the Ultimate Schmoedown season 1 and 2 to actual like bar trivia. You just go in there, have fun, maybe miss or get a couple of questions, and then you're done for the night. This is when it really season 3 was like, yeah, they were they're the start of everything moving forward, and we've gone this over and over again with with Brandon as well. Like season 3 and 4, they're completely different eras, especially now with the formats we're used to. But let's not say that Schnepp couldn't adapt to that stuff, because even then in season 4, he got his opportunity to play in the whiteboard rounds, doing his team match with Heroes Against Trek, and in the horror exhibition match, the celebrity horror exhibition match with him, Diego from Ash vs. the Evil Dead against Whitney and Diane versus Ash vs. the Evil Dead with Bruce Campbell on as announcer. So to say that Schnepp couldn't adapt to any of that stuff, I mean, obviously it was a long shot to say because he didn't get to play a lot. Because that was like very early in season 5 when that match dropped.
He was very busy at the time.
Yep.
No, I don't blame you. I mean, one thing about Schnepp, yeah, he's a director. He's directed a good lot of projects. Most notably, his documentary, "The Death of Superman Lives: What Happened." I'm pretty sure he most of that time in between 4 and 5, he was trying to really push, get that out there. Probably going to different festivals, getting the film out there noticed. I mean, I remember watching it. I really enjoyed the interviews he's able to get. So many people getting the chance to just talk about the fact that this movie looked like it was going to be very artsy, like out there for a Superman film, but it just couldn't come pass.
Well, and then we really want to see Nick Cage as Superman.
Oh, hell yeah.
I definitely would have enjoyed it, especially if this was 90s Nick Cage at the time, to where he wasn't too far out. He was still within at the time a very serious actor, but being very experimental with his roles. So him as Superman would have been interesting. And I still remember that single shot you see of Superman testing out a Superman costume, him with long hair. That would have been very interesting to see on the big screen. And depending on when that movie would have been released, now remember the 90s, before you got the over-the-top Nick Cage like you did in certain movies like Face Off, he still gave out very good solo performances like you see in Con Air and Leaving Las Vegas. And I don't know, it would have been fun to see where this movie would have fell in Nick Cage's filmography. Especially if it was by Burton.
Okay, yeah. I have a question for you guys. Looking at this season right now, if Schnepp was still with us,
Yes.
what faction would he be in if he's not playing and if he's studying?
I think Schnepp would have been a big draw for certain factions if he was
Yeah.
still with us today.
We talking this season or the last season? Because last season, I don't think there's any chance that Burnett doesn't pick him up in the draft.
Okay, hold on. Before you get that, I love that little thing that Brian had posted down. That match against Kale, Gene Hackman was I love that. Yeah, that was a fun part going on. That was one of John's questions in his in the early round one. And of course, he guessed. I think it was an anime question. It was trying to guess voice, and of course, he just said Gene Hackman was wrong. And then Kale, every single time he didn't know anything, he just shouted out Gene Hackman, and it just kept getting a laugh from the crowd the entire time. I loved it. And then his final question.
It was like the Jane Fonda before it was Jane Fonda.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's Jane Fonda for every answer.
Oh, yeah.
It was like that Cameron Diaz, that pitch.
Yes. Actually, it was really kind of funny. John, look, even though John Schnepp didn't have like a big Cameron Diaz, but in his matches, he really wasn't a fan of Julia Roberts. If you saw the look on his faces, the questions that would have changed the lead, that would have kept him in the game, like from rom-coms. Most of it, like he got a Julia Roberts question I remember in a rom-coms, and the look on his face was just utter disappointment. Like he just did not like that. Like if Schnepp had continued to play in more singles matches, I'm pretty sure Julia Roberts would have been his Cameron Diaz. You know?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But back to your question, Ben, on like if Schnepp was still with us today and he was on the draft list for season 8, I would honestly say he would work great with Koi because Koi is not just because Koi also did work with Collider Heroes. I'm pretty sure two men who love talking about geeky stuff would have gelled off great together. And go ahead, 50.
He basically took over his part in comic book shopping.
Right.
That's right, he did.
Yeah.
So it would have been great to see those two, like the protege, like the guy who carried the torch from Heroes and comic book shopping, working with the sensei, the old master, the Jedi master, let's say from that time when he was hosting. That would have been a nice pairing.
Also,
here's a question. I wonder, would Schnepp be the manager of the Moose?
it would definitely be team captain, I think.
Yeah, because go ahead, 50. Keep going. Go ahead.
I think he said himself he's got the knowledge. He doesn't like trivia very much, and that I think he said it was the reason why he couldn't pull it in singles a lot, but it worked half and half in teams. And plus, I'm just gonna put it out there. Could you imagine the Quirky Mercs as a faction with John Schnepp and Kevin Smith on a team together?
Oh my God, that would have been like, I won't say the ultimate dream team, but that would have been the dream pairing that you would have loved to have seen. Yeah. And even Kevin Smith had when Christian had Kevin Smith on SCM when he did an interview with them, they even had their best moments talking about. They even shared their memories of John Schnepp as well. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Oh, go ahead, 50. I'm sorry.
That's one of the reasons he won against Wolves of Steel, which we all thought was going to be the team to dominate the league at that time. They lost to Team Heroes because of the superhero stuff, and they almost got knocked out by Real Rejects.
Well, I'm going to say that with Wolves of Steel, though, that match, and I know Ben and I, we definitely talked about that with Jay Scotty, their match with the Real Rejects. Wolves of Steel, their first match against Heroes, it was still a competent battle because they came in 4 points to 2 after that first round. They get 8 points in 90s movies. And Heroes only gets a 1 point steal from them. And then when they got comic book movies, Heroes only got 7 points total out of 6 questions. So it was still a very close game. The only reason why they won was because Steel got a 5-pointer in Westerns, which the question was, name 2 of the 3 films Clint Eastwood was directed by Sergio Leone in the Man with No Name trilogy. Riley couldn't pull out the other 2. He had a fistful of dollars, and he just couldn't remember the other 2. That's why they won. Because honestly, it was Wolves of Steel's match to lose because Heroes had missed their 3-pointer in '80s, and they got their 5-pointer in Oscar winners. But to say that if Riley had gotten any of the three Man with No Name movies correctly, that would have been their match. But even then, that Heroes match is still fun to watch because that was John Schnepp just shooting jabs and shooting shots at Clark and Riley like nobody's business. Like every time an answer having our question asked, John Schnepp had a quickie quip, a real quick quip coming following that. And
here's my theory. If he was new with us today, and if he was on our team, I don't see him on Kevin Smith's team. Only because I think both of them are like the mouth of their team. John Schnepp would need a player to keep up with. So maybe he would be.
Like if Schnepp had decided to continue playing teams, I don't know if Kevin Smith would have been the partner for him, honestly. Schnepp, because it would have fallen under scheduling. But
how about this team? On the Mercs? Mullen Knopick and John Schnepp.
If there was a geek, if there was a teams division in Geek, I'd say yes. But you were gonna say something. Go ahead.
I'm having a hard time picturing Mara in either singles or teams. Like, obviously I don't know her, but I don't think she would want to compete in anything other than
yeah.
I mean, I know she has general movie knowledge like all of us, but Mara has shown her heart in Geek. Yeah. Mara has shown her heart is in IG, and then after the announcement that Kaiser made, she's going to be playing in Star Wars 2. So it's clear her eyes and focus and her determination is within the Geek division, the Geek arena. But even then, even though it was announced that IG slices or the Intergeekdom category itself is going to feature in singles and teams matches, it's still not enough. I mean, it would have been enough for Schnepp to continue playing in teams. But before you continue, 50, we didn't get to hear from you. What faction would you have thought Schnepp would have worked well with?
Oh, I was going to say, but then you said it, the Mercs.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that you had like a second faction.
No. The Mercs, I think, fit his personality the best. Because first of all, the theme of the Mercs we're just here to have fun and maybe answer some trivia and maybe we'll win. That's like Koi's philosophy, and it works for them. And just look at the people he's got on the faction, like the Real Reject, Kevin Smith, comes in, answers some questions. So far, he's been lucky. Like Bibiani and the Kid, definitely former champions, but they just come in to have fun. And that's why I think Schnepp would work well on that faction in particular.
Oh, Ben, can you pull that up from Leo? And that kind of that question itself, that was kind of a good example of what you said earlier with 50 Shades about the difficulty questions we saw earlier in season 3. Robert's 1-pointer in sci-fi in a oh my god, what was it? It was a match against the Patriots. It was sci-fi, yeah. And the question was name 2 actors who were killed by Alien, Predator, and Terminator in those 3 franchises. And yeah, he got carried away. Not carried away. He got caught up because obviously the first actor I think of is Bill Paxton because he's been in the Terminator, Aliens, and a Predator and Predator 2. So I immediately thought that. So the second actor was difficult. Robert Burnett was thinking of Lance Henriksen because he's also been in those 3 franchises. But then technically his character in Aliens was an android. So that I can understand what he's talking about. And this was before. No, this was after AVP. So that would have counted. No, he didn't get killed by an alien. No.
So when he had him Michael Biehn?
I can't remember if Michael Biehn was in a Predator movie. See, that was one of the interesting facts. Like, who are the other 2 actors? I know Bill Paxton immediately, but I can't think of any other actor that was in. Like, you can find an actor that was maybe in 2 of the films, but then who was in the third one? Because I know Carl Weathers was definitely not an Alien or Terminator, so he's immediately out of the picture. Like, you got to look at supporting cast, which is an issue.
Correct me if I'm wrong, though, but isn't that one of the questions or one of the matches that directly influenced the creation of the challenge rule? Because I don't think the JTE rule was even at a.
No, JTE did not come until like somewhere within the middle of season 4, or no, I think this came like at the start of season 4. I'm sorry, the JTE rule came in at the start of season 4, but the challenge itself, I think it may have helped. Like I think it was one of the. I think this match, that challenge that Robert Burnett wanted to bring, could have been one of the like seeds to plant for the challenge rule, because even then challenges were not as frequent, or when people wanted to challenge a question, it wasn't like, oh, you're challenging it. It's just more of like, oh, I have an issue with this question, I want to bring up about it. I think season 4, I think challenges started coming in. I think so. It's like going over these matches, like because they're so far apart from each other. When we pick a player, it's hard to discover like when was the origin or the basis of this. But that is an interesting fact to bring up, because season 3 there really wasn't a buttload of challenges thrown at you. It was just kind of like, okay, we're here to play. Because even then, the format itself was still off. Because in that match against Kale, it kind of went like Kale had to answer his 3 questions before Schnepp could even answer one, even though technically it should have gone like it didn't. Most of the matches earlier on didn't go back and forth. Like let's say they got a 1-pointer and then a 3-pointer that turned around. I know Christian or Mark would still keep with them, and then they go to the next guy. Because I thought that was like that in Clark's match against Finstock. Even though Finstock heavily lost. But not about that. But that little thing that Leo brought up was still something interesting, because that was still at the time where they were still trying to work out their format. Like it was still brand new. Like you said, 50, it was a cocoon at the time. It wasn't just perfect just yet.
Yeah.
But no, you go ahead. I'm talking too much.
That's the reason why they implemented the challenge rule in the first place, because the format and the show was getting as competitive as it was at the time. And like you said, not a lot of people challenged it, but as they progressed, the questions themselves became a little bit more challengeable. And
yes.
I guess that's one way of putting it. So they became a little bit too more complicated, and they needed some more clarification. That's why they implemented the challenge rule in the first place.
No, it works. Ben, it was a funny thing. We didn't get to hear from you. What faction you think Schnepp would have worked with? If you agree with us, the Quirky Marks is great, but was there another faction you had in mind?
Agree with us.
I mean, my first answer would be the Mercs, but to switching up, I say Swag. I could see him working really well with Winston.
Yeah, that's another faction that mostly goes in there just to have fun and enjoy the game.
Maybe he could be the team captain. I could see him working really well with Winston too.
Yeah.
I mean, although
I don't know how well it would work. Personally, I would love to see him on corruption somehow. I don't think that would.
Christian did say he wanted to go heel.
He wanted to go heel.
Yeah, Schnepp did. Christian and Schnepp had a plan for him to be a heel. I think if he was still with us today, and if Schnepp was still, and if Schnepp had become a heel at that time, I think he would have worked with corruption, because I don't think he would have worked with Finstock Exchange, because even then, during Schnepp's little career, his main little gripe, his mini rivalry was against Finstock, because that traced all the way back from season 2, because Schnepp during the Ultimate Schmoedown team tournament, he and Denizen were team Collider, and they lost to Box Office Breakdown. And if they had beaten Box Office Breakdown, they would have gone against Top 10. Like, that's one of the fun things I like looking at these players' career perspectives, these little what if moments. Like I just mentioned one. What if that because if Top 10, because if let's say if I'm sorry, I'm spinning off here, but I want to get down to the middling point what I was going to say. With John Schnepp's career, I saw in looking at his matches, there were 2 opportunities to where we could have had different outcomes, which was if Heroes had beaten the Patriots, we would have seen them go against Top 10 for the championship at the first Spectacular. That would have been a fun match to see. And then the second one I would have thought of, we would have also seen Schnepp go up against Top 10 again in the Ultimate Schmoedown finals to determine who was going to face Schmoes. Who was going to face Schmoes for the championship. Like 2 times, Schnepp has gone against JTE and if things had gone differently, JTE would have not have had taste of teams gold.
Okay,
Those JP movie fights once.
That's right. Oh, I tried to comb through all those movie fights to pull up stuff, but man, it was like going through a huge needle, trying to find a specific needle in a needle haystack.
Yeah. I definitely remember something he said where I think he was arguing something bad about the Phantom Menace and stuff. Oh, he was asked which two characters you would team up or something, and he was like Salacious Scrum and Jar Jar Binks, murdering all the racist stereotypes from the Phantom Menace. And he was like, "Oh, the Trade Federation, bagaba gaba, making gaba gaba." I kind of looked that match up. It was definitely a man of many words.
Okay,
no,
yeah. I want to play this. What if Schnepp was heel? I want to play that out for a second. That's go with me here. If he was heel, if he turned heel, let's say he working corruption.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see him working well with like a Mike, maybe on a team?
Kalinowski, yeah.
I could definitely see him working well, gelling well with Mike. I mean, these two men, first thing, like before, he's a huge fan of geek movies. Mike, obviously playing in the IG division, those two would have done well together, just having endless discussions and maybe debates on just geek movies, And even then, what helps you best, other than studying movie knowledge, it's always good to have a good conversation with somebody about certain movies, because then you'll remember a certain element or a certain actor from a film that makes it stick into your brain much more. And that's one thing I loved about watching Schnepp when he was hosting. He'd be talking about he'd just be talking about maybe a certain little element or a certain little Easter egg or a key fact from either a Marvel or a DC movie, and all of a sudden, I didn't think of it like that. Or like, oh, I know that. So I think he and Mike would have worked very well together. I think he also would have been like a good, almost like a good captain or mentor with Chance. And depending on any geek players that would have came in. Okay, talking about this now. If Schnepp had continued, how well would you guys think would he have gone in playing geek movie in IG? How well would he have been in IG? Oh. I think that was mentioned in a backstage interview. Like Dewberry did say that he wanted to challenge Schnepp, I think, after one of his team's matches. I think before
I think that was at a time when they asked him at the end of the interview, "Is there anyone who would like to challenge?" He was like, "I'd like to challenge that guy." And a couple of weeks later, that happened. It wasn't today like it was more structured.
Well, yeah. Well, even then during season 4, people were still making call-outs and certain matches could have happened, but things fell apart. Like Dewberry and Schnepp was obviously, as Leo brought up, that was definitely a 1 point as well. There's also been a few other changes of matches, potential matchups that could have happened. But as I said before, if John Schnepp had played in the IG division, would he have dominated? Like, would you have seen this man become Inner Geekdom champion? Because I personally could have.
The only way I can see that happening is he had the knowledge. He needed to know how to tap into it. Maybe if he studied more, if he had more time to study, and then find and work with somebody to help him tap into that knowledge. Yes, I could see him. I could see him being on the same level. I mean, in those things, I could see him being on the same level as Kevin Smith, probably.
I agree with you, Ben, because the IG division has a lot of movies that sneak up on you that you're not expecting, like Tank Girl, or The Surrogates, or The Losers. Like all these movies that you think of Inner Geekdom, and you're like, oh, it's like the Marvel, the DCs, the Harry Potters, the Star Trek, Star Wars, the Lord of the Rings. I can hang, and it's not. It's got all these movies that you completely forgot were IG questions, and I'm pretty sure Schnepp has already seen most of them multiple times. So that's why I think but I agree with Ben because he clearly had the knowledge of all these obscure movies that no one even thought about. I just don't know if he would able to go into the specifics, which is what the questions of the Schmoedown ask. So definitely not in season 4, 5, or 6, but maybe season 7 or 8, when there's more factions stuff and managers and the way it's structured now. I think he could definitely pull out the IG championship if he was still with us.
I'm kind of on the opposite. I do agree. If he was still with us, I think he would have been great in IG, but I think he would have done well in the earlier time of season 4, 5, and 6, because that time they were mainly just focusing on those core 8 films. And John Schnepp, he could have also have lent his voice to help shape the IG division, to help really bring in discussions of certain IG films that you would kind of categorize maybe as IG. I mean, not just like films like Tank Girl, but also bring in more questions about the Shadow, the Phantom, get some more Spawn questions in there. Heck, even look at even superhero films, not just related to simply comic book, but superhero in general, because
like Hancock.
Yeah, Hancock, even the anime ones like Underdog. I mean, that little film. Like John Schnepp, I think he would have. I don't think he would not someone who would have actually enjoyed watching them, but I think he could have been someone to help champion films like these to get asked more into inner geekdom.
Hold on.
Good point.
Okay. Time out. I have two matches in my head that I would have loved to see here.
Okay, go for it, man.
Let me get this out. I would have loved to see Schnepp fit Snyder. Yeah, two completely opposite players.
Oh no, one match, yeah, because we sort of got that with Heroes and Pages, but I see where you're going. Yeah,
they're one match.
Sadly, I think Snyder takes it because I it's gonna come down to the categories and the questions, but I think Snyder is definitely at that time showed that he had the more of the knowledge and more of the passion of the game.
And also, I mean, Snyder he did help do reviews, so the film knowledge did the certain facts or certain things laid more into his brain a lot more as a reviewer. And actually, here's one thing I do want to counteract with the whole thing. I think Schnepp still would have done great even if he only studied a little, because we still see players in the Schmoedown that are able to play very good by not studying, by mainly just watching films, like Ethan Irwin, like Jeff Snyder, like Andraco, even Mark Howard. Stacey Howard as well. I'm not saying if they don't study, they're going to be bad, and I'm not trying to discredit what you said, Ben, but to me, it's like even if you do study, it only counters a fraction because you're mainly just looking at facts and maybe taking notes. I think what helps a lot with playing trivia is just knowing, not just knowing it, but also remember watching a certain film, because it's really sparking up your brain. And like I said, I'm not trying to discredit you, Ben. You do make out some great points that if he was still with us, I do think sometime around season 7, he could have, or season 6, he could have transitioned more into the studying, kind of like how Mike did during season 6, and especially like how Ben Bateman was in his season. He also transitioned more into the heavy studying.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that match, Blofeld's Cat, that was part of the Ultimate Schmoedown Teams match in season 4. This was after R&B joined the Lion's Den. Yeah, and there's this great little cutscene where Schnepp kicks him out, and then of course R&B, he's shouting at them, who are you gonna have join Heroes? Inman? And he goes, nope. And then when he says Navarro, he just has this great turn to the camera and just says yes. And it leads to R&B just having this great tirade in pre-interview. He's just like, are you kidding me? He picks Navarro? Like, Navarro!
I still can't get over the fact that the main planet in the Mandalorian, Navarro. Like, how did Robert Burnett feel about that?
That's even more hilarious now. Like, Jesus Christ! I think I remember coming across. I think when Campia on which channel talking about Mandalorian, and then I think he had Robert Burnett, of course, as a guest, and of course someone in the chat had dropped this little thing on Burnett. It's like, how do you feel the planet now named Navarro after your nemesis?
I think it might have been me who did
Really?
that. It might have been after Robert left the show for time reasons. So he didn't get to see that question. And Kevin, it just went completely over his head. He was like, yeah, sure. I mean, there's a planet called Navarro. I don't see what the problem is.
No, but going back to Leo's little comment there, that match, that was a great match to watch because they got comic book movies in round 2. They annihilated that slice. They swept it cleanly, which why I kept thinking to myself, if Schnepp had played in IG around the same time Navarro was playing, he would have been fantastic too. But even then, before they got into round 2, it was like a very taken apart. It was like a very cut lead because Blofeld Cat, they got 14 points, only missing 2 in round 1, and Heroes only got 9 points, missing 5 questions. No, wait, hold on. 3.
Is that the question? Is that the one where they had the sports question, like where the answer was brought up?
Yeah, the 3-pointer. Yeah, the 3-pointer. It was name 2 actors who played. I think this track. It was a sports biopic question on who played this this athlete, this track athlete. And Mark, and of course, and Draco, he knew that question immediately.
I know this one.
Yeah, he said Billy Crudup and Jared Leto was the answer. I just can't. But yeah, it was just but it was unfortunate too because after they had gotten that clean sweep in comic book movies, they cut down from what was a 5-point lead to a 3-point lead, and it did to a 1-point lead. I'm sorry, a 1-point lead because they were behind. Because Blofeld Cat only got 8 points, only getting 22, and then of course they get 12, going from 9, getting all 12 points, going from 9 points to 21 by that close. Then, of course, in that round, Hector gets that Disney's question, that 2-pointer, nails it, of course. That Snow White question. And then they get their 2. Then Blofeld got that 2-pointer in family films, which they missed. They missed their 3-pointer in horror thriller. And then they get their 5-pointer in 80s movies. And then it just fell to them to where Heroes, they just needed to get either 3 or 5. They just needed to get their 5-pointer to win, but that 3-pointer would have made things a lot more interesting, honestly. But yeah, that sports question was just, give me a break.
And Mark and Draco said that it's the only sports question he's ever going to know.
Yeah,
let me ask you this.
Go for it.
If there was a match in season 6 between Kevin Smith and John Schnepp, who do you see winning?
Smets. I mean,
as much as I do love Schnepp, Smets would have won that match.
It's hard not, especially season 6. Smash went on a tear. He tore through David Moore, I think was his name.
He did. He had a technical. He did a knockout against David Moore. He TKO'd Hector Navarro. No, he KO'd Moore. He KO'd Jay Washington. He TKO'd Hector Navarro. He also and then he had 3 knockouts before he got to Mike Kalinowski. Then he lost. Then he got back on his KO winnings by KOing Adam Lavick. I think Smets. I think Schnepp would have given Smets a good run, honestly. For Christ's sakes, he hosted Collider Heroes. We should never overlook that. Heroes was mainly all about the geek area, the geek division, not just in trivia, but the geek division in movies alone. So I do believe that Schnepp would have given Kevin a great fight, but Smets, I do believe he would have won that.
I don't think it ends in a knockout. Let's put it that way. And isn't it kind of funny that the only person that Smets hasn't knocked out is Chandru?
Yeah.
Because he knocked out Kalinowski in Spectacular, even though he lost him once, but he never knocked out Chandru, even when he beat him.
That's true. Yeah, he got Chandru all the way to his 5-pointer, and still Kevin got to answer his question, which he won. Brian, I do remember. I do remember he KO'd. I'm sorry. Smith has so many KOs in his record that it's hard to finally start to differentiate which one was a TKO and which one was a KO. but yeah, thank you, Brian, for that. Thank you. But yeah, with Smets and John Schnepp, I think that would have been a good match. Even the back and forth, possibly. Even though it's season 6 Smets, he was not a talker. Kaiser was mainly the guy doing the talk. I think that's one of the things that hurts the most with Schnepp's passing. We were truly robbed of seeing something glorious of Schnepp in the later in the Magic season, in the new era. Honestly, just having Schnepp's presence there, either on the desk as a team player. I truly believe he was done with singles, and he would have been great as an IG player. But I'm sorry I interrupted you, Ben. Go for it.
I would have loved to see his promos. Maybe in that.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, okay. I know what I heard about corruption. I wanted to see Sean Schnepp on oh god, a guy here. In the dungeon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kaiser is a scary combination.
Schnepp and Kaiser.
Yeah. Because because in the factions, I mean, the Mercs were my first choice. Dungeon definitely would have been a second choice, and honestly, my third choice would have been him and in the Usual Suspects.
Ooh,
like that's a wild card. As much as I love the other managers, I love Roxy. I'm loving Kate, and I love Winston. I don't think they would have been able to gel with Smith. I mean, Schmoedown wise, in the Schmoedown, I don't think their personalities would have worked with Schnepp. But that's just
I see Winston working with him. I don't see Roxy or Kate as much as I love them. I don't see them working with Schnepp.
I mean, I know Roxy would have been a great supporter, like a great coach to Schnepp, but it's just kind of like who could get the best out of him.
Going off of Ryan's point, I'm having a hard time picturing Shannon working with Schnepp.
Yeah.
Definitely Mike, but not necessarily Shannon.
Yeah. And yes, I will say to this all day, Schnepp as a heel, we would have seen I would have loved to have seen Schnepp because season 4, because Schnepp during his time, he was kind of like Mike during his time, during his early year in the Schmoedown. Really the happy smile, well, not smiling, but like face style, there to play, there to have fun. I would have loved to have truly seen Schnepp do the route that Mike did, go heel and really tear into the Schmoedown, seeing exactly what path he would have cut himself out there new. But even then,
going about that.
Go for it.
I have a theory about that. Something that I've been thinking about for the last couple of years. Because Schnepp didn't get a chance to go heel like he wanted to, I think that's the main reason why they brought Burnett back. And remember, when they brought him back, the first thing he did was burn down Finstock's mask.
Yeah.
Remember the big rivalry that Schnepp had with Finstock at the beginning?
Yeah.
It carried over to Burnett being in a rivalry with Finstock because he dropped him from the Lions Den, the original Lions Den.
Yeah.
I think Burnett did what Schnepp wanted to do. He carried on his legacy because he couldn't. And it sucks.
That I do like that theory because I did think one of the reasons that was also at the time after season 5, Gucci did make a face turn after Spectacular 3, turning over a new leaf with Who's the Boss. So it did make so much sense. Like if Schnepp was definitely still with us, that would have made so much sense if he was still around, because then we would have seen a heel Schnepp, maybe him teaming up, maybe as a player, or like, oh my God, it would have been amazing seeing him and Guy and Drew McWeeny as this little faction. Actually, no, him and Burnett together, because let's just say he joins Burnett on the dark side, as heels. Burnett decides to be a manager, and then let's say this. Oh my God, now I'm starting to think about this here. Because when Burnett came in, who do he get paired off with? He immediately gets paired off with Andrew Guy. Then they get Drew McWeeny. They form the family. And of course, later on, they get Brandon Hanna. But at that time, let's say season 6, if Schnepp was still with us, we see Burnett burn the mask. But then who's right behind him? Or who's next to him? John Schnepp. Those two come
with the hoodie going, good.
Palpatine. And then we can have this crazy thing. Maybe we get heroes back as heels, or Burnett still decides to be a manager, and John Schnepp decides, you know what, I've had my fun in teams. I'm going to take a different route. He decides to be an IG player. So then it doesn't change up the formula of him getting Guy and McWeeny. And that would have been I would have loved to, oh God. John Schnepp as part of the family. That would have been one scary faction.
Yeah.
God, just really thinking about this stuff makes it hurt even more that he's gone. But even then, Schnepp's time in the Schmoedown, was still fantastic. I still enjoy watching his matches, even if he didn't know the answers. That's why his singles matches against Kale and then against a Finstock are so fun, because it's just him just joking around like, oh, I didn't know it. Okay, I'm moving the fuck on.
Even when in his team's match with Walls of Steel, gets asked round one question, didn't know it. He just drew Batman on the board. It was like, look, Batman.
Yeah.
Like, it's having fun, and that's what I love most about the time we had with him. He always took every opportunity to have fun and put smiles on people's faces.
Yeah.
In everything.
Oh
No, I agree with you guys. He made me laugh. One of my favorite memories, crowded in my head, Schmoedown related, but it was on Collider Movie Talk, when they were talking about that Christmas Alec Kendrick movie, Noel. Like, I was laughing so hard when that happened.
What would happen? What would have happened?
Yeah. All his rant on Transformers: Age of Extinction. That clip is still there on YouTube. I mean, if you guys just go onto YouTube, just hit John Schnepp in your search engine, you will find it there. I can't do that clip justice because John Schnepp's passion and his little art and his anger over Transformers is a sight to behold. It's one of the reasons why. Oh, go ahead.
You thought?
No, I was gonna say it's one of those reasons why he was so fun to watch, especially on Heroes. Yes, live event.
Definitely.
That's one. And then the shit. Yes, the shit rats. The shit rats.
Oh, and oh god, what was
Tony Ravioli.
Tony Ravioli and
Tony Ravioli and his friend Beauty Peppers. Shit. Where was I going with that?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like I had something there and then I lost it because I was really trying to find a good little quip that he did in his Age of Extinction rant, but it's escaping me.
Oh yeah, his rant about Batman and Robin when they did the spotlight for Heroes. I mean, he just talked for 15 minutes about how bad that movie is, and he threw it to Burnett, and he was like, "What do you think about it?" And Burnett was just laughing. He couldn't talk about it. He compared Batman and Robin to a lobotomy.
That's right. Shit. That was actually that rant too. Actually, at the time, because before when I was still coming into Collider Movie, when I was still in the AFC Movie News, and when I went to Collider, I was still one of the few people that staunchly defended Batman and Robin as an entertaining movie. But when Schnepp had laid down that rant, I'm like, he made me question my movie taste for 5 hours afterwards. Like I was going over my mind. I'm like, Batman and Robin's good, right? And then he just talking about how it's like a body. I'm like, holy shit! Like for a while now, I was actually on the camp of hating Batman and Robin, but now I'm back on like enjoying it again. But I acknowledge its flaws. You were gonna say something, Ben? Go for it.
I love his rant about Tetris. I like. How did it go?
He said, "Yeah, look." He said, "You know what's really crazy is they're making 3 of them. They haven't even made the first one, and they're already thinking of a fucking trilogy. Like Tetris is a bunch of shapes, and we got aliens invading the world. We got to take a bunch of teenagers to build a Tetris world around the Earth, and there's your movie." Something like that. I can't do him justice. He was the Schnepp.
Yeah, I know. That's why it's so hard. That's why I can't really think of a good way to bring justice to his rants, to his passion. It's really difficult. It's really difficult. But even then, just like another one of our favorite moments. I mean, everyone, if you guys are watching this on replay, just go onto your YouTube and just search John Schnepp. Look, even if you find the clips of him either from his stuff on Heroes, Collider News, or from Movie Fights, still look at the episodes he was in for Movie Fights. Watch his old Schmoedown matches. Like, really just sit back, turn your brain off, and just enjoy the matches, and enjoy the debates as well. I mean, it's really entertaining. But look, guys, go for it, Ben. Yeah, I was gonna say something else, but go for it. I can wait.
I just wanted to say before we wrap up here. Remember when he and who's that actor who came on Movie Talk? A New York actor. Yeah, thank you. Remember when him and Michael Rappaport kind of got into a fight over comic book movies?
Yeah, I literally thought that debate was going to turn into a shouting match between those guys because, like, Schnepp wasn't trying to change. Schnepp was standing his damn ground against Rappaport. That was just, I was legit worried. Like, they were going to have to cut the black or put the whole technical difficulty sign on screen because these men were just getting so, like, more, like, they were, like, you can see in their faces, they were getting more stubborn and more angrier. Like, they weren't, the voices didn't change a lot. I mean, of course, they got louder, but it was just more of like you were waiting for like a bomb to go off between these two.
Yeah. Ben, I put something in the share screen. Could you put it up?
Love to see what.
This might be my favorite John Schnepp moment of all time.
Every time that I'm on the show. Let's challenge the stupid Google computer. Translate this, mofo. Scribble, scramble, bagiboo. Egg scramble, flip floppity bing bong. Skibba gabba 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 gabba. Fruit joint. That actually was that last.
I think I said this before the show started. I was at work. The workday just ended. I was just waiting for the shift to be over so I can go to the bus back home. I was watching this on my laptop. I was drinking a bottle of Coca-Cola. He said that, and all of the Coca-Cola was all over my laptop, all over the table. It was just, and I was a mad laughing puddle of just laughter. It was, like I said, my favorite all-time Schnepp moment. And Ben, since I have you here, we gotta do a top 5 Schnepp moments on Gets Ready at some point.
Okay.
Yeah. Before you guys get down. Guys, before we wind down, I also brought up something just to remind everybody of a great Schnepp moment.
Yeah.
Ben, if you're able to.
Yeah.
Yes. It's the moment that 50 Shades had quoted perfectly, and I'm going to share it with all of you. Make sure you can hear the sound first. Can you hear the sound? You've got to be kidding me. And it's just right before he's about to list them off. Okay, hold on. Give me a second. I'm going to do this again. See, there it is. I'm trying to bring in the best moment.
Remember to click share audio in the little box there.
Yeah, that's a new feature on StreamYard, unfortunately, that before then it was no problem sharing this stuff. But now it's like, now you got to bring it on. Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. Now I bring to you, ladies and gentlemen, as we are winding down, the clip of John Schnepp that will not live in infamy, but live in our memories.
Yeah.
Let's see. All 7. Yes, please. Sleepy, drowsy. Wait, hang on a second. All right. I got sleepy, sneezy, scowly, skimpy, scrambles, fuck you, and Easter eggs. I don't know.
There it is, you guys. You got it. Okay. That truly a great moment. That's one of the great highlight moments of Schmoedown that John Schnepp was able to give to us. But yes, as we wind down this episode, guys, I really appreciate 50. What? I'm sorry, you had something else?
I said a great moment from a great man.
Yeah. Actually, I couldn't say it better myself. We'll go right down 50. I'm glad that we were able to have you on with us. I'm glad you agreed to come on to talk about John Schnepp. Even other than that, is there anything you want us to check you out on? Like anything you want to promote, or just like anything you want all of us on the replay, anybody on the replays or anyone live right now to follow you on?
Oh, just check out my YouTube channel, 50 Shades of Geek. You can also check out me on Twitch, 50 Shades of Geek, without the F, because apparently 50 Shades of Geek was already taken. And I do mostly weekly series where I try Emphasis on try to beat Pokemon Shield using only a Shedinja. If you're a Pokemon fan, you know exactly why that is impossible and frustrating, and all of that will be cut up into little tiny bits on my gaming channel, 50 Shades of Gaming. You can also check out my Patreon, Pokemon Star, Cross, and Crescent, where I'm designing a Pokemon game, a fan game, based on Israel, the country where I live in. And I just got some new artwork. I'm going to drop them after the show, and I've already got some new ones today, as a matter of fact, which I'll be releasing next week sometime. So, Ben is a patron. He knows exactly how cool all the stuff is that I'm working on.
That is amazing. I mean, it's been a while since I played Pokemon in a while. I mean, last one I played was the remastered yellow and red and blue with green, emerald green. I did at least got the part. Huh?
It was Let's Go, right? Or are you talking about the Fire Red and Leaf Green?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, Fire Red and Leaf Green. They did release a yellow, though, unless I was wrong, because
Yellow came out after Red and Blue, and it was sort of based on the anime, which is why you can find Pidgeotto and the Radiant Forest, but you couldn't find them earlier.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah, it's been a while since I played Pokemon. But other than that, thank you for coming on with us. Ben, where can people find you? Go right ahead. I mean, they clearly see the overlays here, but anything else you want to promote, go for it.
On Twitter at BenRainer2. You can find me on my other YouTube channel at 50 Shades of Geek here on Media Studies Network. We do a bunch of stuff. It's a fun time. Yeah, just follow me there. How about you, Ryan?
Nope. Well, of course, everyone in the overlay can see. You can just follow me on my Twitter account, caramel_pain. Also, check me out every now and then here on Mount Schmoedown with my co-host Ben. And whenever Brandon, when we get him back, we're going to bring him back as well. And then also check me out. I have anybody here is interested in wrestling, I do co-host a wrestling podcast called Wrestling Rambles and Rages. It's on Anchor, Podbean, wherever you get your podcast or where you listen to your podcast on, we have it there. Other than that, I'll be here every Saturday on Mount Schmoedown. And our next couple of episodes are going to be, I'm going to say, they're going to be a doozy for us to get through. But other than that, thank you, everybody, for coming on. Have yourself a great morning, afternoon, and evening. I butchered a Jim Carrey line, but it doesn't matter. But we're here to have fun. And once again, everybody, have a great day.
Have a good one.